I used to think my life was perfect. I had a good husband named Mark, 2 beautiful kids, and a home filled with laughter. We had been married for 10 years, and people always said we were the perfect couple. Mark worked hard, and I stayed home to take care of the kids and the house. Every night, we ate dinner together and watched television until we fell asleep. But deep down, I started feeling alone. Mark came home late most days. When he was home, he was always tired. He didn't talk to me the way he used to. He still kissed me goodnight, but something felt missing. I started wondering if he still saw me the way he did when we first met. I missed feeling special. At first, I thought it was just a phase. Every couple goes through hard times, right? But the more time passed, the more I felt like something inside me was breaking. I didn't know how to tell Mark. He was kind and good, but he didn't see how sad I had become. I started to cry alone in the bathroom sometimes, just so the kids wouldn't see me. I kept hoping things would get better. One afternoon, I went to pick up the kids from school. While waiting at the gate, I met a man named Daniel. He was another parent and had a daughter in the same class as my youngest son. He smiled at me and said hello. I smiled back, not thinking much of it. He was friendly and kind. We started seeing each other more often at school. Sometimes we would talk while waiting for the kids. Daniel always asked how I was feeling. He noticed little things, like if I looked tired or if I had a new hairstyle. It felt nice to be seen again. I didn't mean to enjoy the attention, but I did. Soon, Daniel and I became friends. We talked about the kids, about life, and sometimes we laughed together. It felt harmless. I told myself it was just a friendship, nothing more. But a small part of me liked the way Daniel made me feel. He made me feel alive again, like I mattered. I didn't tell Mark about Daniel. I knew it wasn't a big deal, at least not yet. But even then, something inside me felt wrong. I was keeping a secret, and secrets always grow. It happened on a rainy Thursday. I was feeling really down. The kids were with their grandma, and I had the whole afternoon to myself. Daniel called and asked if I wanted to grab a coffee. I said yes without thinking. I told myself it was just a quick chat with a friend. We met at a quiet cafe. The coffee was warm, and the conversation was easy. We laughed a lot. He told me I looked beautiful, and I blushed. I should have left right then, but I didn't. After coffee, he offered to drop me home. When we got to my house, he didn't leave right away. We sat in the car talking. Then he reached out and touched my hand. My heart beat fast. I should have pulled away, but I didn't. That's when he kissed me. It was soft and slow, and I didn't stop him. I kissed him back. After that kiss, I felt sick inside. I told him to leave, and he did. I went inside, locked the door, and cried. I knew I had done something wrong. I kept telling myself it was just one kiss. I would never do it again. I tried to forget it, but my heart was heavy. I looked at a photo of my husband and kids, and I felt like the worst person in the world. After that day, I couldn't sleep well. I kept waking up in the middle of the night, my chest tight. Every time my husband smiled at me, I felt like a liar. I looked at my children and wondered what they would think of me if they knew. I had a secret now, and it was eating me up inside. I avoided Daniel at school. I didn't reply to his messages. He kept saying he missed me, but I tried to stay away. I knew it was wrong, and I told myself I would never talk to him again. For a while, I did well. I focused on my family, cooked dinner with more love, and hugged my kids tighter. But the guilt didn't go away. It followed me around like a shadow. Even in happy moments, I felt it pulling me down. I thought maybe if I tried harder at home, it would go away. So I planned a family picnic, I bought my husband a new shirt, and I even wrote him a sweet note. He smiled and thanked me, and for a moment, I felt a little better. Still, I couldn't forget what I had done. It was always there behind every smile, every touch, every kiss goodnight. I wanted to tell him the truth, but I was too scared. What if he left me? What if the kids hated me? So I stayed quiet. I smiled, but inside, I was falling apart. Weeks passed, and I thought I was doing better. Then one morning, I saw Daniel again at school. He looked at me with sad eyes and said, "Can we talk? Just for a minute?" I wanted to walk away, but I didn't. I said yes. We sat on a bench, far from the other parents. He told me he missed our talks. He said he couldn't stop thinking about me. I tried to stay strong, but his words made my heart race. I felt wanted again, and it was hard to say no. I told him we couldn't do this anymore. He nodded and said he understood, but then he held my hand, and I didn't pull away. One thing led to another. We met again, and this time, it went further. It wasn't just a kiss. I crossed the line I swore I would never cross. After it happened, I felt like a stranger in my own skin. I went home and couldn't look my husband in the eyes. I cooked dinner like nothing happened, but inside, I was breaking. That night, I sat in bed while my husband slept beside me. I looked at him and cried quietly. He trusted me. He loved me, and I had betrayed him. I knew this couldn't go on. I was living a lie, and sooner or later, the truth would come out. After I was unfaithful again, things changed between Mark and me. He didn't know what I had done, but I acted differently. I avoided his eyes when we talked. I didn't laugh as much. I became quiet and distant. He noticed. One night, he asked me, "Is something wrong?" I quickly said no, but inside I was screaming yes. I didn't want to hurt Mark. He was a good man. He took care of the kids, worked hard, and loved me. But I had done something that broke our marriage, and I didn't know how to fix it. I wanted to stop seeing Daniel, but every time I tried, he pulled me back in. It felt like I was stuck in a hole I had dug myself. At dinner, Mark would tell me about his day, but I wasn't listening. My mind was somewhere else. I felt like a stranger in my own home. The kids would laugh and play, but I felt like I didn't deserve to be happy. I kept thinking, if they knew the truth, they'd never look at me the same again. I wanted to confess, but I didn't have the courage. Every time I opened my mouth, the words just wouldn't come. I was scared of losing everything, so I stayed quiet, even though the guilt was killing me slowly. One morning, I finally made up my mind. I told Daniel we had to stop. I said, "This can't go on. I have a family, and I'm hurting them." He didn't try to fight me this time. He just nodded and said he understood. He looked sad, but he didn't argue. For a few days, I felt a little better. I wasn't sneaking around. I wasn't hiding anything new. I still had the weight of what I'd already done, but at least I wasn't making it worse. I tried to focus on my family again. I made special breakfast for the kids. I sent Mark sweet messages. I wanted to make things right, but the guilt didn't leave. At night, I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. I kept hearing a voice in my head saying, "You're a liar." I knew I couldn't keep pretending forever. The truth had to come out, and I wanted to be the one to tell it, not someone else. I thought about what would happen if Mark found out from someone else. What if Daniel told someone? What if Mark found messages on my phone? The idea made me sick. I had to be brave. I had to tell the truth before it was too late. I couldn't sleep, so I got out of bed and sat at the kitchen table. I took a notebook and pen and began to write. I didn't know how to start, so I just wrote what I felt. I wrote, "Mark, I'm so sorry." Then I told him everything. I wrote about how I felt lonely, how Daniel made me feel seen, and how I made the biggest mistake of my life. I wrote about the guilt, the lies, and how every day it hurt to look at him and not say the truth. I cried while writing. My tears dropped on the page and smudged the ink. When I finished, I folded the letter and placed it in a drawer. I didn't give it to him right away. I was scared. What if he walked out and never came back? What if he took the kids with him? But another part of me knew I had to be honest. I couldn't live like this anymore. The letter sat in the drawer for 2 more days. Every time I passed by it, my heart beat faster. On the 3rd day, I knew it was time. I couldn't hide anymore. It was a Saturday evening. The kids were staying at my sister's house for the weekend. Mark and I were home alone. We ate dinner quietly, and I could feel my hands shaking. After we cleaned up, I asked him to sit with me in the living room. "I have something to tell you," I said, my voice soft. He looked at me, confused. I handed him the letter. "Please read this," I whispered. He took the letter and opened it. I watched his eyes move across the page. Slowly, his face changed. First confusion, then shock, then pain. He looked at me, and I couldn't hold back my tears. I cried like a child. I kept saying, "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." He didn't yell. He didn't say anything for a long time. He just sat there, holding the letter, his eyes full of sadness. It hurt more than if he had shouted. I had broken something inside him, and I didn't know if it could be fixed. After I told Mark the truth, everything felt quiet. He didn't sleep in our bed that night. He went to the guest room and closed the door. I lay awake alone, staring at the ceiling. I didn't blame him. I didn't know if I'd ever forgive me either. The next morning, he didn't speak to me. He made coffee, got dressed, and left the house. I sat on the couch and cried again. I didn't know where he went or when he'd be back. The house felt empty without him. Even the kids noticed something was wrong when they came home. Days passed like that. He was cold and distant. He answered my questions with short words. We didn't hug. We didn't laugh. The silence was the hardest part. I missed him, and I hated myself for hurting him, but I didn't regret telling the truth. At least now, everything was out in the open. No more secrets. Now it was up to Mark to decide if we could still be a family. A week later, Mark finally sat down with me. His face looked tired. His voice was calm but firm. He said, "I don't know if I can forgive you, Emma. You broke my heart." I nodded and said, "I know. I don't expect you to forgive me right away. I just want to be honest from now on." We talked for a long time. We cried. I told him everything again, this time with no letter, just words from my heart. He asked questions, and I answered all of them. It hurt, but it also helped. It was the first real talk we had in a long time. He said he needed time. I told him I would wait. I didn't beg or push. I just said I loved him and I was sorry. I promised to go to therapy, even if he didn't want to come with me. I wanted to heal, even if I had to do it alone. That night, we still slept in different rooms. But when he left for work the next morning, he said goodbye. It was only one word, but it gave me a little hope. It's been 3 months since I told Mark the truth. Things are not perfect, but they're better. He still sleeps in the guest room most nights, but sometimes he joins me for dinner. We've started talking again, slowly, gently, like we're learning how to trust each other again. We both go to therapy now, sometimes together, sometimes alone. I've learned a lot about myself, why I made the choices I did, and how to become a better person. I still feel guilt, but I'm also learning to forgive myself. The kids are happy. They don't know everything, but they know mommy and daddy are working things out, and we are. It's hard, but we're trying, one step at a time. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe we'll stay together. Maybe we won't, but I'll always be thankful that I told the truth. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it set me free. And now, whatever happens, I can look in the mirror and know I faced my mistake and I didn't run away from it. Sometimes, the people who seem the happiest are carrying the heaviest guilt. I made a mistake, a painful, heartbreaking mistake. But I faced it. I told the truth. And in doing so, I found a chance to heal. If you've ever felt unseen, unloved, or like you're slowly losing yourself, you're not alone. But secrets don't stay hidden forever. And when the truth comes out, it hurts, but it can also set you free. Thank you for watching this story. If it moved you, leave a comment below. And if you've ever had to face a hard truth of your own, just know healing is possible, one step at a time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more real stories that speak to the heart.